Well, hey guys, welcome back to Waters Family Homestead. All right. I tell y'all, they all come to the front to meet me when I get home. I just got home about 5 minutes ago. I come out with my basket. I got to give them some scratch, pick up the eggs because I'm getting home later than normal, and fill their feeders up. So that's my routine, y'all. All right, so I give Sue's pen, I don't know, a third of a cup, maybe half a cup, something like that. Throw it out there all over the ground. All right, I'm gonna go back. Now there's only 7 total chickens over there, counting Sue. So in this pen, I've got 13. Now, half of those are the adolescents, teenagers, but they're about grown. I mean, I can guarantee you at least one of them's laying, because I'm getting 6 eggs some days and there's only 5 adults. So they get a little bit more. They get closer to a little over half scoop. And throw it out there. And that's all they care about. All right. Now the bigger pen, it's got most yet. They're getting a little bit over a cup or pretty close to a full cup. And you see, that's all they care about. Throw it out there, and they're all just as happy as they can be. All right. Now I can put my lid back on the scratch feed, open up the can, and get me a bucket of feed. Working on the second can right now, so hang on 1 second. All right, so I'm about 2.5, 3 inches from the top of that bucket, and there's a reason I do that. I can set my little egg basket in there and still flip the handle up and tote it all with one hand. If I fill the bucket too full, I can't fit the basket in there, and then if I've got eggs to put in it, I don't have, you know, I can't tote it flat, and I've dropped a few doing that. So, old man live and learn. All right, got that one. Now let's see if we can get this one. All right. Especially doing all this one-handed. It's a little different, but see, they're still interested in all the scratch I threw out. They're not caring about following me. So this way, I don't have to worry about chickens up under my feet. But their feeder is a little over 3/4. So usually in here, I only have to put feed in it no more than twice a week. Sometimes once a week, but only 2 eggs a day. I got 3 from them yesterday. So let's see what the middle pen gives me today. Y'all should see me live trying to do this with one hand holding the camera. All right. So far, so good. I haven't spilled any eggs or feed. All right, now theirs is a little over half, so I'll probably add a little bit to theirs. Let's see how many eggs today. 2 in the middle, 3 over here. So I got 5 eggs today. Like I say, yesterday I got 6. So it's that time of year where a hen doesn't always lay every day. Let's see if I can prop this up. All right. Now theirs is full. Set my egg basket back in there and get it around here where I can hold it. Now I can go to the last pen. Oh, I don't know if I can hold that and the camera at one time. Yep, I did. Okay. All right. Not very many today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I've been getting 8 or 9 from them most days. This is the bluish greenish one. Got 2 brown ones. And all right, show y'all. Look at the size difference. That one on the left is a new hen that's just started laying. It's a little bitty egg. So that's it. Now I gotta show y'all their feeders less than half. I'm trying to get where the camera can see what I'm doing. But that ain't working. All right, let me go up another shelf. There we go. All right, that one's full. And several times a week, I'll come out and walk their little run area here, because sometimes a hen will drop an egg out in the yard, especially younger hens that have just started laying. They don't really, sometimes they can't tell that they're about to lay, is what I think. And you'll find eggs laying out here. But this hole right here is the deepest hole. And I've had as many as 6 or 7 eggs in that hole during summer or late spring, because they'll get in there and nest in that hole. Haven't had that happen in a while, thank goodness. They're using the nesting boxes, but all right. If y'all can tell, all the chickens have dispersed. They finished off that scratch by the time I finished collecting the eggs and filling the feeders. Let me see if I can rearrange my hand here. Yep, I can hold the bucket. All right. We're at 9 minutes. It takes me between 10 and 20 minutes to fill the feeders, collect the eggs, and sometimes I bring a brush out with a spray bottle with a little bleach solution in it, bleaching water, and I'll spray their waterers and brush them and clean them, and then rinse them out and let them refill. Did not do that today, but went to my daughter's house today to see my grandkids before they went to church tonight. Now they have a Wednesday night service. It's the groups, you know, you've got different groups people sign up for. And they do those on Wednesday night. So, well, actually, I think women's are on Thursday. Men's are on Tuesday. So they, my daughter watches the boys while he goes, and he watches the boys while she goes. And then Wednesday night is everybody for groups. I don't typically go. So me and her were talking about it today. And the reason, it's not that I don't want to. I'd love to go. I really enjoy my church family, but we're 30 minutes from dark. And if I was at church tonight, I wouldn't be getting home till an hour and a half or so after dark. And it's just me. I don't have a spouse that's going to feed the chickens, check the dog's feeder, check his waterer, check the chicken waterer, do dishes, feed myself, all that stuff. So it's just me. And there's not so many hours in a day. And it's just so much easier for me to do this during daylight hours instead of having to come out here wearing a headlamp and collect the eggs and check the water and all that stuff. I can see everything a lot better during the day. So, but not a bad egg day. I would say that's probably about 15. Let me see if I can do a quick count. It's 14 or 15, and that includes this little bitty one. Now, what I do with the little bitty one is I keep an egg carton over by my stove, and when I cook for myself, like I did this morning, I'll use those small eggs and sometimes some larger eggs with it, but I do use those for myself. I don't sell them. So I actually sold 3 dozen today. So not a bad day. And I don't charge my family and close friends. So my sister and her husband came over and got a couple dozen off the counter today, and that's all I had in the house. So this will give me, I'll finish off 1 dozen that I'd already started and probably do another one, or at least be close to it. I think I've got an 18 pack with 6 or 7 in it, so I'll finish that off and then start another one, another dozen or something. But anywho, that's my routine, guys. I need to walk out here and check the watermelons, but I told y'all in the last video, I'm just giving up on watermelons. No matter what I do when I pick them, they're not 100% ready. They're not ripe. And just tired of trying. I mean, they're out here growing, but when I cut grass, I did mow over all the vines that ran out into the yard. I've got to restake this fabric down, but got those 2 watermelons there, and got this one here. And I ran over the 2 small ones that were running out. So when I cut grass, but let y'all see, I'm standing at the back side of what's going to be the greenhouse by the rose bush here that needs water bad. But y'all see, I'm turning all the way around. I did not cut the back corner all the way, but it's not real thick and tall. But I did mulch up the range when I cut grass. So I've got this burn pile. Man, I want to burn this thing, but they're not calling for rain until next weekend. So I got another week to wait. But I need to get that thing burned. It's just going to continue growing and growing until I get it burned. There's even some pieces of telephone pole in there. I don't care. It needs to burn. But look at that. That line, what is that? Dad burning, I'm drawing a blank. Use it for pickling. That thing's grown like crazy, and it planted itself. But That's a big plant. All right. I wanted to look inside this raised bed where the watermelon vine ran in. It's crazy how it does that, but I don't see any baby watermelons, but there are some blooms. Yep, and I see one little tiny baby watermelon down there, or two. I'm not going to let them grow either. I got to get this thing closed up before it gets winter here for real. For me, if it's below 45 degrees, that's winter. And we're not even close to that yet, but all right. Let me get my shoes wiped off from being in the chicken pens, and I did mulch up the kids' play area, mowed it, and mulched up the weeds and grass that was there. So it's about all I could get done. Whew. Had a pretty good conversation with a friend of mine today that I go to church with. It's also on the security team, or the safety response team. And we're neither one really pleased with it. Let me flip this around. We're neither one really pleased with the security team. Yep, I've got 8 actually in this 18 pack right here. Dang, can't turn my phone enough to show y'all. So I'm going to pick up some of these, and I use a little paring knife. If I can get in front of the camera, and I scrape off anything that may be on there. But the little bitty eggs, I'll put them in that dozen over by the stove, and then the rest of them, I need 8 more to make this 18 pack. No, there was 8. I need 10 more. But whatever stuck to them, which would be some, some of the hay or whatever, dirt, it doesn't stick hard. You just scrape it right off with that paring knife. Because if you wash it, you got to put it in the fridge. Now I've got 1 or 2 hens that lay eggs with look like little brown spots all over them, and those are actually pieces of the shell, little knots on there. And if you try to scrape those off, a lot of times that shell will crack, or you'll leave a hole in it to where you've got to put it in the fridge. So I don't do that. But all right, just that 1 egg. That thing's oblong. A lot of times they're so round you can't tell which end's the small end, but you put your eggs in your carton. Small end, guys, small end down. That is what I was always told. It helps them stay fresher longer because the air pocket stays on the big end and the egg stays down there at the bottom. But, whew. All right. Left the house at, I don't know, about 7:10 this morning. 7:15. I've been staying a little bit longer at the house because I get to work too doggone early. And I don't like sitting in the parking lot for 35, 45 minutes waiting on boss man to get there for us to, open the building and get inside. And so I've been trying to cook more at home, breakfast-wise, instead of buying it, which I normally go to a local place, and they do a actual, cooked bacon, cooked sausage, eggs, grits, cheese grits, whatever you want. And that's normally what I go do because they're actually cooking it. It's none of this frozen, bought mess. And I'll go by there and either get me a sausage or bacon platter for breakfast, or I'll buy a sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich and have that for breakfast. But I'd rather cook it myself. It's just a lot of mornings I just really don't feel like cooking. But I'm trying to make myself cook more because it's, it's so much cheaper. First of all, I've got plenty of eggs. But secondly, a sandwich is $4. A meal, I think, is $8, I believe. I'm not positive. And that's for breakfast, of course. And that adds up to a lot. $8 and 5 days a week. That's $40 a week just on breakfast. And you throw in lunch for that. So you can spend your paycheck quickly eating out. And I do that a lot. Way more than I should. I should not spend near as much as I do on eating out. But I don't go to McDonald's and Burger King, and rarely do I go to Wendy's. It's just, that's not the food that I prefer. I prefer real home cooked food. And we've got what everybody calls a Mennonite restaurant here in town. It's not actually Mennonite, I don't think, but they cook pretty good real food. And then there's another place down on the north side of town, which is the poorer neighborhood, hood. But the guy that owns and runs the place is a pastor, black guy, and he's got a lot of good people that work for him, and they're not that expensive, and you can go in there and get real food. So, if I go to lunch, I'll go there, or I'll go to the other restaurant I was talking about. Every now and then I'll go somewhere like one of the local Hispanic store, restaurants. One of them I'll eat at, one of them I won't. But, there's a few things I change up. But you add up what you spend on lunch and what you spend on breakfast, and, and then throw in the fact of how much gas you're spending every week to go back and forth to work. And you've got to have better than around the house clothes to go to work in. People don't realize that you're spending a large amount of your paycheck just to be able to go to work. And, I've talked to one of my daughters about it especially. And, I've been, they ignore me, but I've been trying to talk to both my daughters about homeschooling, and they both have excuses or reasons why they don't. But with that being said, one of them's a stay-at-home mom, the other one's not. I just don't, I think the benefits of homeschooling your children are far outweigh sending them to public school, which is where all my grandkids go. They all go to the same school. It's a charter school, but they all go to the same school. And I'm just, with all the school shootings going on and the way the left has destroyed our educational system and all the crap going on in this world, I'd rather my grandkids be homeschooled, and a second parent working back in the old days before me, people lived in a modest home, raised 2 or 3 kids with a spouse, and the mom stayed home, and they lived okay off of one income. Well, nowadays the whole system's set up to where they want both of them working, and I don't believe that's the way it needs to be. The money you spend to have a second vehicle so the husband can go back and forth to work, and the wife can go back and forth to work, and take your kids to school, pick up your kids, and all that stuff, plus the money you're spending on the fuel and the time and all of that stuff. You're spending your income for that second paycheck to go let someone else raise your kids, and I don't agree with it. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox about that. Guys, I appreciate y'all following along on my journey on my channel. First time ever I've got over 756. I think last time I looked today it was 758. Might have been 759, I don't remember. But I've never gotten above 756, and that was 8 or 9 months or more ago with the suppression that hits my channel. So I appreciate you new subscribers. Thank you very much. I hope you stick around. I really don't expect those numbers to stay there. Last time they got up 756, they dropped back down to 750 and stayed there for 6 months. So that's what I expect out of, YouTube. They don't like conservative channels, but anyway, I thank y'all for subscribing. Thank you for watching the videos. Remember what I always tell you. Jesus Christ loves you, and so do I. Y'all be safe. Be prepared.